My destination this trip was Padre Island National Seashore, just southeast of Corpus Christi, Texas. A short causeway takes you to the long, skinny strip of sand just off the Gulf of Mexico. So this is the famous Padre Island South Beach. And there's not much beach right now, but it's a lot better than what it was. This is how it looked when I first arrived. If you're wondering why nobody's camping on the beach, it's because there's no beach. The wind surge has brought in the tide higher than normal, so you can't even drive on it. Completely unsafe. Ranger gets people out. No happy campers here. The shore patrol was pretty thorough, both on the land as well as the air, so free camping on the beach did not seem to be in the cards for me. I'd like to try one night, although it does make me nervous, mostly because of salt spray. I mean, I have enough troubles in the winter when they salt the roads and out with the trailer. I mean, here's a whole ocean of salt, so it's definitely not good for my trailer. But maybe for a short period it'll be fine. Oh, that's coming up high. I don't know. For the time being, I chickened out on the free camping of the Gulf side and went to a paid camping lot on the Laguna Madre side. I figured it was the least stressful option. Whoa. Wasn't good for my posters. Or the reflectix. Yet wind was only the first issue, as later in the day more campers arrive, including my arch nemesis, the generator Xers. These are people who spend thousands and thousands of dollars on their RV, but buy the cheapest, noisiest generator they can find. Even a normally peaceful walk in the sunset was completely lost in the heavy metal thunder of engine noise. I knew I wasn't going to last here. But with the generator Xers all powered up and happy, another problem emerged. That was a good one. Fortunately, it was more thunder than storm, and in a few hours it was gone. A local came for a visit in the morning, but after hearing the clamor of steel, moved on. Which is exactly what I did. With the wind subsiding, I made another attempt at the eastern shore. It was a good sign to see that other campers had taken up residence, as the surge had subsided and the beachfront reappeared. I found a little dimple in the sand dunes, big enough to fit me and my trailer. Well, if you need a nice spot close to the beach, this is about as close as you can get. The waves are a lot fiercer on the Gulf side, churning and crashing as the breakers meet the beach. But the shorebirds seemed happy. They even came by to say hello. These pelicans performed some tricky air maneuvers that I'm sure were for my benefit only. But the star attractions were the sanderlings, who seemed calm and relaxed until they took off in their goofy high-speed march of tiny little legs. You'd think I'd speeded up the film, but I really didn't. They actually do walk this fast. It's like a movie stuck in fast forward. Apparently, they don't like getting their feet wet either. And I like these guys with the Beatles wigs. The third one's John Lennon. Of all the places I've boondocked, Padre Island is the noisiest, by far. It's that constant crashing of the waves on the beach, a little bit of wind. But the funny thing is, it's not stressful. It's soothing. It's relaxing. It's like that white noise effect. And I can also talk, not be heard. I can sing, I can swear, I can play a little music if I want. Nobody else is going to hear it. If there's a generator in the next camper, I can't hear it. All I hear are the sound of the waves. It's so peaceful. Well, the surf's a little loud today, so I think I'm going to talk indoors, which is good because it gives me the opportunity to talk about some indoor improvements I've made recently. Now, because I travel when it's hot, cold, wet, dry, muddy, sandy, all the combinations, I tend to have several different pairs of shoes. Now, I'm not exactly the Imelda Marcos of footwear, however, I do have enough that the concern is, well, what do I do with all these shoes? Where can I store them as convenient that I can get them quickly? And where can I dry them off? So what I came up with was I went to Walmart and I got an over-the-door shoe organizer. Just sort of hangs over your door, which is not super convenient for me, but I like the hanging concept. So what I did is I just took this and I chopped it up and I ended up with this. So here's 4 pairs just hanging on the wall. I've got 2 machine screws on the aluminum, enough to hold it. When the side comes down, it just folds up, so it's out of the way. There's no issues with it interfering or anything. And that gives me enough for 4 pairs. Now if I needed a little bit more, this came with 12. So I also put a few on the door. So I've got this for ones that I need, to zip in and out. And what's today? Well, it's surf, so it's sandal day. A neighbor was eyeing my sandwich, so I invited him for lunch. It seems he was just a little too shy. All that bird watching seemed to distract from one other more subtle event, the rising of the tide. Slowly, the beach was starting to disappear again. Whoa! Look at that! Now, is that beachfront property or what? It's high tide. And the water's going right up to my Jeep. Actually, within that far of the trailer. I was actually thinking of going into town for supplies, but I think I'm gonna stay put right now because I'd just be saturating my Jeep with salt. I certainly hope it's not gonna get any higher, or I'm going to be floating. Just to be on the safe side, I quickly backed the Jeep up to re-hitch the trailer. So is any of this good for a Jeep or a trailer? Absolutely not. It's worse than the salt in the wintertime on the freeways. Well, there was a whole line of RVs up and down the beach, but now it's just me and my buddy up on the hill there who thinks I'm gonna fish for him, but he's sadly mistaken. Well, guess what? I think I have the whole beach to myself. Storm surge kind of worried a few people that were camped here. I'm not too worried. It's actually going down now. And the trailer's hooked up to the Jeep. 5 minutes, I can be out of here. Peace, solitude. Watch the waves come in. The sea is a floor show that never stops entertaining. Those that have the patience just have to pull up a chair and watch. Each wave forms a new pattern as it approaches, uncovers a new shoreline as it retreats. The ocean protects its inhabitants 1 minute and expels them the next. Forever changing, alluring, admired, but never trusted. Just before dusk, my friend finally gave up on me and went looking for dinner the old-fashioned way. Had he stayed a little longer, he might have found a seafood platter emerging from the night sands. For when I turned on my flashlight, I caught this ghost crab, much to his embarrassment. Yet most of the ghost crabs were actually quite boring. They seemed to be fixated with what the neighbors were doing. Locked in a hypnotic gaze, they merely stared each other down. It did help put me to sleep, though. With no land to hide behind, the amber glow of the sunrise sets the horizon on fire. Dawn over the ocean is far more moving than a sunset, as it awakens your senses to the new day. I had time for just one more walk along the shore before I bid farewell to Padre Island. Although the word Padre is typically associated with a father or priest, Padre Island is ruled by a woman, the divine ocean. Catch her on a good day and you'll find beauty and passion, plus the sweet lulling voice of a siren. But approach her in a bad mood and you'll feel her fury and vengeance. I'm happy to say we got along just fine. Just as this little shorebird knew when it was time to move on, I too had to make a little motion. I hope you enjoyed this video and you'll continue to follow me on my future adventures.